Some time ago, I recorded a video about Medusa and her attunement and the 5D version of Medusa that we are connecting now, and how she helps us through our shadows, through the shadows of others that we come into connection with. And I was asked a lot of questions about Medusa. Who was she? What is her story through the Greek mythology? So I had to do a bit of digging myself and the research of some details that I was missing out. In that space, what I figured out, what I found, that Medusa was one of the three Gorgons, and she was the mortal sister. The other two weren't mortal, were immortal. So Medusa was also one of the priestesses in Athena's temple. In that space, she had vowed for chastity for Athena, because Athena would have priestesses in her temples only if they had vowed for chastity. Many of us, as oracles, as high priestesses in this lifetime, as psychics, mediums, we have in our energy many vows of chastity. So healing works in many ways. You can understand that. But Poseidon saw her and he was amazed by her beauty. She had curly hair, not the snakes that we know of her as of her now. And Poseidon was intrigued to have her. So what Medusa did, she went to the temple of Athena in that space to ask for protection. And she thought that Poseidon wouldn't do anything because it was Athena's temple. Regardless of all of these things, Poseidon, of course, as you can imagine, had her. He forced himself on her, and this is how the story keeps evolving. And after that whole scene, Athena decided to be in a space of punishment for Medusa, to punish Medusa because she refused the god Poseidon what he wanted, which is interesting. You expect from Greek mythology and stuff energies like this that represent something of higher frequency to have a different understanding for us. So in that space, you can understand a lot of shadows, how this used to work, and the different hierarchy in what we used to call as gods and goddesses, the deities, in regards in comparison to the mortal ones that we didn't have as mortals so many freedoms in different ways. In that space, the punishment for Medusa was to have her hair, her curly hair, turned into snakes. And of course, her appearance changed and everything changed, and she got pregnant with Poseidon's children. Now, what comes in the story later on is Perseus. I think I'm pronouncing that name, Greek name, in the right way in English. Perseus is in Greek, Perseus is in English. So, what happened in that space? He took her head off, and this was his guidance. Don't ask me how, when, and why. And he used it as a weapon to actually turn a titan into a stone. This is what was happening. This was the curse, the punishment from Athena to Medusa. Whoever, as a man, looks at her in her eyes will be turned into stone. And he used Medusa's head in many other tasks that he had to do later on and turned different creatures and beings into stone, thus saving the city or saving something in overall. Now, my point with the 5D Medusa, and before I go there, there's one more point we need to be aware of. Her head, it was used as a depiction in many temples, Greek temples, as a protection sign. So, in that space, you understand that Medusa has also a protective energy because of her head, because of the snakes she had as hair on her head, and everything else. After all of these things that happened between Athena, between Perseus, between Poseidon and Medusa, and her decapitated head, okay, what happened is Athena took her head and turned it into a hologram, into a shield on her shield. She placed it on her shield as protection again, and in her honor, in her memory, which is another story about divine feminine and how we, between us as women, have so many conflicts, and instead of standing next to each other, we actually get into a space of taking each other's head off in some ways. That is the dark feminine energies, and things we are resolving collectively, not just because of Greek mythology, but in overall, collectively, with each other. Now, moving on to what the 5D Medusa does for us and why this attunement was important, why working with her is extremely helpful. Medusa isn't connected with the dark feminine energies. Many of us in spiritual communities believe that she was a being connected to the dark feminine energies because she was turning men into stone. So what has been left into the collective as a belief is that Medusa didn't have a good connection with men. No, obviously not. And in many ways, what is going on, what is happening, how we can use her energies into healing modalities within ourselves through our own intuition is this, connecting with the 5D version of Medusa, because either way we are stepping into the 5D collective and allowing her in your energies to get you into a space of protection. Having Medusa's energies through the attunement, through you connecting with her in a meditation, you are actually getting into a space of expanding your awareness in a way, in a means where you realize a lot more than before. And this is the point of why it was coming through as a channeling for me as well. Many of the things that were happening already in my energy, I wasn't even aware for quite a few months, to be honest with you. And when I realized that I'm working with Medusa in that space, I was okay. Let me understand more on that. So, Medusa is helping us, divine feminine or masculine, doesn't matter, to connect with our own intuition and see shadows within self, see the shadows that are coming through from others when we are in a vivid communication. When we are in touch with others, we understand easier and we see through these layers that are usually hidden in that space. So what I'm calling you to do is to repeat if you have already done it, or if you haven't, please go back. I will have a link below in the description box where you can have and go back and do the meditation, the attunement, connecting with Medusa, so you can get into a space of recognizing some of the shadows that are working still through our energies, or the shadows that you have to protect yourself. And again, protect in air quotes, because it's not exactly protection. It is protection in a way that I can see through someone's shadows or where they have different motives than what I have. Okay, so you can understand if you are in alignment or not. Getting into that space and embracing all of these things will be helping you on your own path of evolution, recognizing more and more of where someone comes from, why they come from that space. It will give you an extra push in your awareness. This is what Medusa and Medusa's attunement is about. If you're willing to invest more time to connect more with Medusa, please connect with her through meditation and get into a space to ask her energy, her collective energy. How can you help me? Why are you here with me? Or how I can use your energy, your vibration, your frequency, how I can get into a space of embodying your energies in my daily life, and so on and so forth. Many of the ascended masters, many of the deities and the energies that have walked this earth, literally, not just through mythology, we can actually be helped from them. We can get into a space of recognizing more of ourselves, who we are, and anything else that might be helpful in our evolution. Then I keep saying evolution, but this is what it is about. The ascension process is about getting into that heart-centered space and owning your sovereignty, your own power, your own wisdom. And yes, we will be having help and support from different sources, but these sources, which they are outside of us, they are actually part of us as well in many ways. So this is what Medusa was about. In Greek mythology, there are not a lot of resources where you can find a lot of material about her. But if you Google about Medusa's myth, about how she was turned and cursed in some ways, instead of having hair to have snakes and all of these things, you can understand that she wasn't a being that was coming from bad intentions or an evil energy. On the contrary, she was a protector against evil energies. So do your own Google searches and be open to explore these different frequencies, collective frequencies, archetypal frequencies, where they can actually help you to discover and explore more of yourself. If you have more questions, please let me know. If you have done the previous video, let me know in the comments how it was for you, how you experienced it, if you liked it, and if you would like more energies like that through my YouTube channel, I would be more than happy to get into a space of exploration because I love exploring different energies apart from those that they just happen for some reason. And I appreciate your feedback, I appreciate your comments, and it helps me see where you are at, what you would like support with, and a lot more. If you want to work on a private setting with me, please visit my website. I have links on my description box and book a session. I will be more than happy to accommodate and any desires you may have, any things you may want to be seeing and expanding on yourself.